Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive with me.
Glad to be here.
Today we're heading south of the border to explore one of the most iconic ancient cities in the Americas,
Uh-huh.
Teotihuacan.
Ah, yes. The city of the gods.
Now, I know what you're thinking, pyramids in the Americas.
Yeah.
That's Mayan territory, right?
Well, not quite.
Okay, so set the scene for us.
Okay, so picture this. It's around the 1st century CE,
Okay.
and this massive city is rising in the basin of Mexico.
Wow.
Yeah, we're talking a population of over 100,000 people, which would have made it one of the largest cities in the world at the time.
Wow, that's incredible.
Right. And here's the kicker. We still don't know for sure who built it.
No Rosetta Stone?
Nope. Their writing system remains a mystery to this day.
So how do we even know anything about them then?
It's like a giant puzzle. We have to piece together the story from the ruins themselves, the layout of the city, the artifacts, the artwork.
So we're basically archaeological detectives.
Exactly. And one of the biggest clues to their power and sophistication is right there in the name Teotihuacan.
The city of the gods.
Yeah. The Aztecs gave it that name centuries later when they stumbled upon the ruins.
And they were clearly impressed.
They were blown away. They believed that this was the place where the gods created the universe, the birthplace of the sun and the moon.
Okay, I'm starting to see why we're diving deep into this.
Oh, yeah. There's so much to uncover. But to really understand Teotihuacan,
Yeah.
we have to start with its most iconic landmark, the Pyramid of the Sun.
Okay, now we're talking. I've seen pictures. It's massive.
Massive is an understatement. It rivals the Great Pyramid of Giza in size.
Wow. And it was built by people who didn't even have the wheel.
Not in the way we think of it. They didn't use wheels for transportation, but that doesn't mean they weren't incredibly ingenious.
So how did they move those massive stones then?
That's part of the mystery. They must have used ramps, rollers, levers, and a whole lot of manpower.
Okay, but back to the Pyramid of the Sun. What was its purpose? Was it a tomb for a pharaoh, like in Egypt?
Actually, no. We've never found any royal burials inside the pyramid itself.
So if it wasn't a tomb, what was it?
Well, that's where the debate starts. Some believe it was a temple dedicated to a sun god, maybe a place for rituals and ceremonies.
And others?
Others think it was a symbolic representation of the cosmos, a physical manifestation of their creation myth.
Okay, I'm intrigued, but before we get too cosmic,
Yeah.
let's back up a bit.
Okay.
We've established that Teotihuacan was a huge city. But what do we know about the people who lived there? What was their society like?
Well, it seems they were a pretty diverse bunch. Archaeologists have found evidence of people from all over Mesoamerica living in Teotihuacan.
So like a melting pot.
Exactly. They had neighborhoods for people from the Oaxaca region, the Gulf Coast, even the Maya lowlands.
Wow, a real cosmopolitan center.
It was. And this diversity likely played a key role in their success.
How so?
Well, imagine all the different skills and knowledge these people brought with them. Craftsmen, farmers, merchants, priests.
It's like a brain trust of ancient knowledge.
Exactly. And they were masters of trade. Their city was strategically located on key trade routes. Okay.
And they controlled a very valuable resource.
Which was?
No, obsidian.
That black volcanic glass.
You got it. It is prized throughout Mesoamerica for its sharpness.
Yeah, you can make some wicked blades with obsidian.
Absolutely. They used it for everything from knives and spear points to tools and even mirrors.
So obsidian was their gold.
More like their iron. It was
Yeah.
essential for their economy and probably their military might too.
Right, because you don't want to mess with the guys who control the sharpest weapons.
Exactly. And speaking of military might,
Oh.
there's evidence that Teotihuacan wasn't just a peaceful trading hub.
Oh, really?
Right.
I always imagined them as a kind of utopia.
Yeah. Well, it turns out that even utopias need to protect their interests.
You're enough.
Archaeologists have found depictions of warriors and weapons,
Hmm.
and some scholars believe they had a pretty formidable army.
So maybe those trade routes weren't always so peaceful.
Let's just say that protecting your obsidian caravans was probably a top priority. It makes sense.
Yeah.
You've got a valuable commodity. You're going to want to make sure it gets where it needs to go.
Exactly. And that brings us back to the Pyramid of the Sun, because some believe its placement and alignment might have had a military significance as well.
Okay, now I'm really curious. Tell me more.
Well, imagine you're standing at the top of the pyramid. You have a panoramic view of the entire city and the surrounding landscape.
Okay, I can see that.
Now, some researchers believe that the pyramid was deliberately aligned with certain mountains and celestial bodies.
Like a giant compass.
way. And this alignment could have been used for everything from tracking the seasons to observing enemy movements.
So it was a multi-purpose monument, religious, symbolic, and maybe even strategic.
Exactly. It was the heart of their city, both literally and figuratively.
And it was built with a level of precision and skill that still boggles the mind today.
Absolutely. But here's something else that's pretty mind-blowing.
Lay it on me.
That smooth, finished surface we see on the pyramid today.
Yeah.
It's not original. During excavations in the early 20th century,
Mhm.
archaeologists thought they'd find an even more pristine pyramid underneath.
Okay.
So they covered the original facade with concrete.
You're kidding. So what we see today is basically a modern reconstruction.
In a sense, it's a reminder that even with the best intentions, our attempts to understand the past can sometimes have unintended consequences.
It's like a cosmic irony. We're trying to uncover the secrets of the past,
Yeah.
and in doing so, we might be obscuring them even further.
It's a humbling thought, isn't it?
It is. And it makes you wonder what other secrets are still hidden beneath that concrete facade.
Well, that's what we're here to find out, right?
Absolutely. But for now, I think we've laid a pretty solid foundation.
I agree. We've got this massive city.
Right.
Teotihuacan, the city of the gods.
A thriving metropolis with a complex society.
Skilled craftsmen, powerful rulers, maybe even a formidable army.
And at the heart of it all, the enigmatic Pyramid of the Sun.
A monument that continues to fascinate and mystify us centuries later.
So where do we go from here?
Well, I think it's time to delve deeper into the heart of the pyramid.
Let's do it.
To explore that mysterious cave and see what secrets it holds.
I'm ready for another adventure.
Let's go! So we left off talking about that concrete facade on the Pyramid of the Sun.
Yeah, it's a little mind-blowing to think that what we see today isn't quite the original.
Right. And it makes you wonder what else might have been lost or altered over time.
Definitely. But let's not get bogged down in concrete.
Ah, okay.
Let's get back to the mysteries inside this massive pyramid.
Right, so remember that cave we mentioned earlier? The one right beneath the heart of the pyramid?
Oh, yeah. The one with all the locked passages and the weird lobes.
Exactly. That's where things get really interesting.
Okay, you've got my attention. What's the story with this cave?
Well, for a long time, archaeologists thought it was just a natural feature.
Okay,
Maybe a lava tube or something.
but it turns out it's more than that.
Much more. It seems to have been deliberately shaped and modified.
By the Teotihuacanos.
Yeah, and they went to a lot of trouble to create this space.
So it must have been important to them.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But the question is why? What was its purpose?
Okay, give me the theories.
All right, well, one idea is that it was a symbolic representation of the underworld.
The underworld. Like a portal to the realm of the dead.
Not literally a portal, but perhaps a symbolic connection.
Okay, I can see that. The cave being beneath the pyramid.
Right, representing the earth and the underworld below.
And the pyramid itself reaching up towards the heavens.
Exactly. It's a powerful image of the cosmos.
It is. But if that's the case, why block off the passages?
Well, yes, the blocked passages. That's another layer of the mystery.
Okay, I'm listening.
Some believe that the passages might have originally led to other chambers or tunnels.
So there's more to the cave than we know.
Potentially, but those passages were sealed off at some point.
And we don't know why.
Nope. It's one of those enduring archaeological riddles.
It's like they were intentionally hiding something.
It's possible, but it could also have been a symbolic act, a way of closing off access to the sacred realm.
Intriguing. But let's get back to the purpose of the cave itself.
Okay.
We've talked about the underworld connection.
Right.
But was there anything else going on in there? Any rituals or ceremonies?
Well, here's where it gets even more fascinating.
Okay.
Archaeologists have found evidence of offerings being placed in the cave.
Offerings? Like what?
Things like jade beads, pottery, and even animal remains.
So they were making offerings to the gods of the underworld.
It's possible. Or maybe to their ancestors.
Ancestors. So this cave might have been a place of ancestor veneration.
It's a compelling theory, especially when you consider the importance of lineage and ancestry in Mesoamerican cultures.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
They believe that their ancestors played an active role in their lives.
Exactly. So honoring them, making offerings in this sacred space.
It would have been a way of maintaining that connection.
Exactly. And remember those mortuary bundles we mentioned earlier?
The ones that might have been moved from the pyramid?
Yeah. Well, some scholars believe that they might have originally been placed in this cave.
Whoa, really? So the cave might have been a final resting place for Teotihuacan's elite.
It's a possibility. But it also raises more questions.
Like, why move them?
Exactly. What happened that led them to relocate those bundles? Was it a change in religious beliefs? A new dynasty trying to distance itself from the past?
It's a history mystery waiting to be solved.
It is. And the cave beneath the Pyramid of the Sun is just one piece of the puzzle.
So we've got this massive pyramid, a symbolic representation of the cosmos, a possible portal to the underworld, a place of ancestor veneration, and maybe even a final resting place for the city's elite.
Yeah, it's a lot to wrap your head around.
It is. It's like this pyramid was the focal point of their entire belief system.
It's a microcosm of their world.
And we're only just beginning to scratch the surface of its secrets.
That's right. And there's one more aspect of the Pyramid of the Sun that we haven't even touched on yet.
Oh, really? And what's that?
Its connection to the stars. You ready to get a little cosmic? All right, so remember how we talked about those 3 mountains?
Yeah, the ones that kind of cradle the city.
Exactly. Well, it turns out they weren't just a pretty backdrop.
Okay.
The Teotihuacanos saw those mountains as something much more significant.
All right, I'm intrigued. What did they see?
They saw the birthplace of the universe.
Whoa, hold on.
Yeah,
It sounds wild, right?
a little bit, but go on. Okay, so according to their creation myth, the gods gathered on those 3 mountains to create the world.
And they placed 3 sacred stones representing the hearth of creation.
Bingo. The very spot where the first fire was lit.
Okay, so they believe that Teotihuacan was literally built on sacred ground,
Precisely. It wasn't just a random location, it was the center of their universe.
the Axis Mundi.
Exactly. The point where heaven and earth meet.
And the Pyramid of the Sun was at the very heart of it all.
Right, smack dab in the middle.
It's like they were trying to recreate the act of creation on Earth.
With the pyramid as the conduit between the earthly and the divine.
And those new fire ceremonies. Maybe they were more than just calendar rituals.
Right. Maybe they were a way of reenacting that first cosmic fire.
A way of connecting to the very source of creation.
It's a pretty powerful image, isn't it?
It is. It gives me chills just thinking about it.
And here's where it gets even more mind-blowing.
Okay, lay it on me.
The Teotihuacanos weren't just observing the cosmos from a distance.
Yeah.
They were actively incorporating it into their architecture.
What do you mean?
Well, remember how we talked about the pyramid being aligned with certain mountains?
Yeah.
It turns out it was also aligned with specific stars and constellations?
No way. So it was like a giant astronomical calendar.
Exactly. They could track the seasons, the solstices, the movements of the planets.
It's incredible to think that they had this level of astronomical knowledge.
Without any modern technology.
They were meticulous observers of the night sky.
And they knew how to translate those observations into a physical structure.
A structure that would stand for centuries as a testament to their ingenuity and their connection to the cosmos.
And that connection wasn't limited to the elite or the priests.
So everyone in Teotihuacan would have been aware of these astronomical alignments.
It's very likely the placement of the pyramid, the layout of the city, even the orientation of their buildings.
It was all designed to reflect their understanding of the universe.
It was woven into the very fabric of their lives.
It makes you wonder what it would have been like to live in a society so deeply connected to the cosmos.
To look up at the night sky and see not just a random scattering of stars, but a map, a calendar, a story.
The story that connected them to their ancestors, to the gods, to the very origins of the universe.
It's a perspective that's hard to grasp in our modern world.
Where we're so disconnected from nature, from the rhythms of the earth and the sky.
And that's why exploring ancient sites like Teotihuacan is so important.
It reminds us of what we've lost.
And what we might rediscover if we take the time to look up and remember our place in the grand scheme of things.
So, as we wrap up our deep dive into the heart of Teotihuacan and the Pyramid of the Sun, let's take a moment to appreciate the legacy of this incredible civilization.
A civilization that thrived for centuries, built monumental structures, mastered astronomy, and left behind a mystery that continues to captivate us today.
And even though we might never fully understand all their secrets,
True.
the quest to uncover them is what keeps us exploring, keeps us learning, keeps us connected to the past.
So until our next deep dive, keep looking up, keep asking questions, keep searching for those hidden connections that link us to the wider universe.
And who knows, maybe someday you'll make a discovery that changes our understanding of history forever.